The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
It's the first edition of our Canucks weekly power rankings, and guess what? Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes, neither of them is number one. Find out who's number one? Are you even going to listen to us? Because you're listening to two idiots here on Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You're listening to your two favorite idiots talking about the Canucks here on Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, and also a Canucks writer over at Daily Hive, Vancouver. I got to let you know today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And before we dive into the episode, I got to say, we thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks. It's your team every day. Make sure you go subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, I know, two idiots right here. It's the Canucks Weekly Power Rankings. Yeah, we're almost 2 weeks into the season. Doesn't matter. This is a segment I want to start running on a weekly basis, and that season started midweek, so we're going to kick it off this week, the Canucks Weekly Power Rankings, where we rank the 5 most impactful Canucks of the week and change for this episode. Also going to do a little Abbotsford Canucks report because things are happening. Things are happening down at the farm. Shout out to Abbotsford, okay? Shout out to Restaurant 62. Also got to shout out my co-host, Kyle Bhawan. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, and if you're watching this on YouTube, Trevor Beggs, man, are you a lawyer? You looking fresh, but like fresh from the 90s, early 2000s, doing your thing, man? Or were you in a meeting to purchase an A&W so you can, eat those mama burgers all you want, man? I heard that you love your burgers with extra tomatoes. Extra tomatoes, no other veggies, no other condiments, just tomato, patty, and bun. That is nuts.
I will say what you heard is a lie. Tomatoes are the least important vegetable on a burger. Like from lettuce, pickles, tomatoes, and onions, I'm cutting tomatoes first and foremost. I throw banana peppers on there before tomatoes.
Whoa,
I even throw a cucumber on there before tomatoes.
Banana peppers on your burgers, man? Like, how much you making, bro? I don't know. I guess the Reddit post was wrong about your tomato and burger fascination. Anyways, another episode of Locked On Canucks. Over here on this Tuesday, this rainy Tuesday, it feels like it's gonna snow next week. Straight up it does.
Also seems like the perfect time for 16 games tonight on the NHL schedule.
What?
One of those games is Nashville and Vancouver, the end of the road trip here. I mean, let's hope the boys are bringing it home strong. We don't need a performance like we had in Philadelphia where the team just falls asleep. I think it would be big for this team to win the final game of the road trip, be over 500 on the road trip. I mean, how often have we said in Vancouver the bar is, get to 500 on the road trip? Let's, toss that bar aside and let's have a better record than 500 and the road trip strong. But, the Canucks, again, 3-2 to start the season, and a lot of it is on the backs of their best players, which you'll see here in the Canucks Weekly Power Rankings. And I want to start with number 1 because I don't think it's necessarily a bold take, but it might raise some eyebrows that neither Elias Pettersson or Quinn Hughes comes number 1 overall on the first edition of the Canucks Weekly Power Rankings, because Elias Pettersson right now, 5 points in 10 games. He's 4th in NHL scoring right now. Quinn Hughes looking like an early favorite, not just a contender, but an early favorite for the Norris, okay? You got to go check that out on our latest episode where we pumped up Quinn Hughes because this guy deserves it, He might not be as handsome as Erica Branson, so, he has to work harder for the respect. But, man, is he getting it early on, man. Quinn Hughes, what an absolute beauty.
Dude, I think Quinn Hughes is a 9 out of 10. I think Quinn Hughes is a 9 out of 10, okay? Nobody's perfect. You can't be a dime, He's a 9 out of 10. Got to show love for Quinn Hughes.
He's a 43 out of 10 in my eyes, man. Not even 11 out of 10. This guy deserves all the love. But I'm going to give one Canuck more love than Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes, and that's Thatcher Demko, okay? Man. So as good as Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes have been early on, I'm giving Thatcher Demko the number 1 spot on the Canucks Weekly Power Rankings because this guy put forth 2 really impressive performances on the road against Philadelphia and Tampa Bay. I mean, that Philadelphia game, I know Philadelphia, they won a few games to start the season. John Tortorella teams always seem to start off strong. It was the same in Vancouver when he was the coach here. But that game probably should have been, 6-1, 7-1 for the Flyers. I mean, Thatcher Demko made save after save after save. The guy was just electric. And in that Tampa Bay game, too, I think the team really fell asleep for about 25 minutes after Tyler Myers gave the team a 2-1 lead. And then the Canucks don't come up with a victory in that game. Thatcher Demko's numbers look so-so, but I don't think the numbers really told the story. I think Thatcher Demko, again, gave his team a chance to win on a night where they were the second best team on the ice. And then going back to the first game of the season as well, he stops 21 of 22 shots while he's sick, so sick that he pukes in his mask in the third period. I mean, there's been a lot of good performances from Canucks stars so far, but I think Thatcher Demko so far deserves the number one spot on our Canucks weekly power rankings.
And if you talk about the impact that he's brought us already this season and the impact that he continues to have for this team, if we want games to matter, it's definitely number one on the pedestal, because it's clear that this team is still figuring stuff out 5-on-5. It's still figuring things out in the defensive zone. And I mean, for some people may think it's impossible for this team to get out of those messes. It's roster, organization, all that stuff. There's no way to fix it now. But I think if you have a guy like Demko and he allows his team to garner some patience based on his performances, based on him keeping his team into games or deep into games while having, the top end talent score some goals and win some games. All in all, just make it easier for the Canucks to inevitably find some momentum, get some confidence, and maybe those two things will allow this version of the Canucks to fix up those issues that I brought up. Like, again, 5-on-5, they've been a bit of a mess offensively and really defensively. And I think it's a system thing. I also think it's like a confidence thing too, and Thatcher Demko makes it, again, a lot easier for this team to find its confidence early on in the season. We talk about the good start. We also talk about making the playoffs. All these things can, go right for the Canucks, but it all starts from the confidence, the swagger, and getting off to a good start. I feel as if it's on the shoulders of, Casey DeSmith, but definitely Thatcher Demko.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Casey Smith, again, he deserves some praise too, because, his 9.938 save percentage is actually better than Demko's, and he's 2-0 right now in his starts, and he was pretty key in that Panthers victory as well. Even though he led in a couple third period goals, I know the shots were like 17-2 at one point. So, and just to give Demko a bit more love here before we move on, the Canucks right now, and this is for DeSmith and Demko, as a tandem, at even strength, the Canucks have the fourth best high danger save percentage in the NHL, behind the Arizona Coyotes, the Montreal Canadiens, and the Columbus Blue Jackets, just like everybody predicted.
No, real talk though. You probably predicted that though. You know what I'm saying? Like, we wanted the team to get better, but I feel as if there was a party that was always like, based on the preseason too. Like, oh, okay, the Canucks are still going to be really crap at defense and going to allow a lot of scoring chances early on, at least, because again, in the preseason, they were kind of showing us that.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely wouldn't have predicted Arizona, Montreal, and Columbus being 1, 2, 3 in terms of high danger save percentage, but it's also early in the season, okay?
No, but I think the save percentage...
It's not a fluke right now.
I think the save percentage also is, like, jolted high because of how much they're giving up, And, like, giving their goalies an opportunity to shine in that stat category. And, yeah, it's not surprising that, again, the Canucks are just allowing all these chances. Also not surprising that we're praising Thatcher Demko so much, even though he's only played 3 or 2, 8 periods of hockey here. But he's our best Canuck of the season.
Yeah, well, and here's one more point to hammer it home. So right now, again, 5 games in, the Canucks have given up the most high-danger Corsi attempts against per 60. What's the most high-danger shot attempts against per 60 at even strength? That's a bad stat.
You're a nerd.
And it kind of leads to my number 2. Nerd. Kind of leads to my number 2. And my number 2 in the Canucks weekly power rankings is Quinn Hughes. And I mean, it's a very similar story to last season. The Canucks with Quinn Hughes on the ice were I wouldn't say a dominant team, but we're a good team, plus 20 goal differential. Without him on the ice, even strength, the Canucks were one of the worst teams in the league. They're basically your Anaheim or your Columbus. Mm-hmm. This season is not much different. Quinn Hughes is one of the only players with a positive shot attempt differential in the season. When he's on the ice, he's driving play. Despite facing the team's best competition, the Canucks are driving play with Quinn Hughes on the ice. And, again, playing with Phil Hronek, I'm not in love with it, and part of it is because without Quinn Hughes and Hronek on the ice, the Canucks are still a disaster defensively. Mm-hmm. But Quinn Hughes is doing his thing, man. He's doing his thing. He's shooting more. He's making lots of nifty plays in the defensive zone, breaking up passes. He's got a goal. He's got a point. He's a point per game right now. Quinn Hughes has just been his dominant self so far in the early going here.
He has, and we spent a lot of time talking about Quinn Hughes over the last couple of days. So go check out those episodes that we just dropped. And I'm just gonna take what you just said and reply with a question, okay? And it kind of stems from what I've been talking about. Do you think I'm delusional when I say Demko and a guy like Hughes, in the defensive zone, making saves and just, getting the puck out cleanly? Do you think, again, having those two will this team to find confidence so they can fix those issues is a dumb thing to say? Like, is the easier thing to say, like, no, they're not going to fix their issues, but these guys are just going to will them in the playoffs. They're not going to be fixed. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you think confidence can help this team find structure?
I mean, I certainly hope so.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's got to be beyond confidence a bit. I do think it's going to get to a point with these Canucks where, Hughes and Hronek on the top pairing just isn't going to work anymore. Like, it's great that they look like, one of the best pairings in hockey, but it's just not sustainable. You can't have, like, the Canucks are going to the Nationals game tonight. And we're all happy that Tyler Myers has been shoved down the depth chart, and deservedly so. But now you have Mark Freeman, who was, waiver wire fodder a week ago. And now he's playing in your Canucks top four. Like, it's a messy situation. And really the easiest way to rectify it is to split up Hughes and Hronek. Like, Hughes can prop up his own guy, pair Hronek with Cole as kind of your shutdown pairing.
I don't know, man.
Pairing.
I don't know, bro. I think you are right, but I think the other end of the spectrum is way more powerful and way more important, because this team needs to win now, and it's like we could spread the wealth out and play it even like that, but I think early on we're just gonna have to lean on our top end guys only to get dubs. And again, I must say it for the 5th time in the last 3 episodes, I really think we're gonna see a 27 to 28 minute game right here for Quinn Hughes, like really soon here, because he's gonna want it, man. He wants to be accountable, and I like where you have him ranked here too, because being the captain for the Vancouver Canucks, dream job, obviously, but it ain't easy, and it's also not easy to take that responsibility and still improve as an individual. Like, he's handling a lot, and he's handling it with ease, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll table it for another episode this week, the whole Hughes and Hronek situation. But I want to get to number 3 on this list before break, and number 3 is Elias Pettersson. And to me, it almost seems crazy to put Pettersson at 3. But it speaks to how good, the Canucks trifecta of Demko, Petey, and Hughes have all been in the early going. Pettersson, like everyone in Philadelphia, did not have his best game. But Pettersson has had 4 multi-point games in 5 games so far. He puts up 4 points in the first game, and then he has 2 points in Edmonton, and then he has 2 points against Tampa, 2 points against Florida. So this guy, he's doing his thing, man. He's doing it offensively. He's still playing penalty kill. He's still playing against some of the team's best players, although JT Miller's really handled that matchup. But Pettersson, again, looks like his dominant self early on, and looks like one of the best players in the NHL. So again, it's crazy that I think, rightly so, so far that he's been the 3rd best player on his own team.
I wonder what happened in Philadelphia. Like, do you think they overdosed on Philly cheesesteaks? I don't know, man.
Possible, man.
Is the liquor cheap?
I don't think anything's. Well, yeah, these guys make a lot of money, man. Come on.
Yeah, so maybe they just went hard, man. Philadelphia. Yo, you know what? I'm putting the pieces together, okay? The Eagles are playing well. The Phillies are obviously, doing their thing. Big game tonight. Maybe Philly was popping off when they got there, and they just enjoyed a night and was like, you know what? We're playing the Flyers, man. We could be hungover and perform here. It happens, yo. And I'm not even complaining, because I hope something like that did happen, because comrades, right? Camaraderie. Get it up. Build it up. You need nights out. It is what it is. Pettersson, number 3 on this power ranking system. Yeah, man. I think he's there because of Demko and Hughes, obviously, but also there because we're kind of getting used to Pettersson just being this good, and maybe like underappreciating him. Because I'm sure if, and you're the nerd here, if you like really dug deep into the fancy stats, he's probably like one of the top 3, top 5 players in the league right now, and we have him as number 3 on the. Like, are we rich here? Are we spoiled? We loving life. We 3-2. We talking like we done it. I love it, man. Positivity, baby. Positivity. We're doing it, man. I like it, Beggsy.
We're doing it. We haven't done it yet, but we are doing it, man.
Hey,
and on the other side here, we'll round out. Hey, there you go. We'll also remember that we're might be drunk on optimism, but hope is dope. Okay, hope is dope. Just
hope is dope.
Hope is dope, especially when it involves your Vancouver Canucks. On the other side, we'll wrap up the Canucks weekly power rankings with number 4 and 5 on the list. I think you could probably guess who they are, but here who we got at number 4 and 5 on the other side. Before we do that, let me tell you, have you ever been stressed out of buying tickets at the last minute? Because I'm a big last minute deals guy, and I found that the best place for killer deals at the last minute is Game Time. Game Time, they got my back. I get these emails from Nicole at Game Time, and she's always teasing me with concerts and events this week in my area. Not only are those weekly emails a tease, but Game Time also offers me flash deals on last-minute tickets. What's even better than that is that they have a lowest price guarantee along with event protection cancellation. Now I have no choice but to get off my skinny, hairy rear end and check out a local show on a Friday night. So make sure you stake the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And guess what? A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. Phil Giuseppe could score 50 goals. Maybe. The Canucks. The Canucks, they could win the Stanley Cup. And you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is my number one choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. Elias Pettersson, he's had 4 multi-point games in 5 games so far. If the line's at 1.5 points for Pettersson today against the Nashville Predators, I'd probably be smashing the over because this guy, he is on one to start the season. If you want to win 100 times a bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Canucks fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability.
Okay, you're back on another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name Kyle Bhawan. More importantly, that is Trevor Beggs. And more importantly, this is the show where we give you your Canucks every day, man. 3-2 energy, bro. 3-2 energy. It feels powerful, man, to be over 500 after 5 games. I'm feeling good, man. Like, it might be raining outside, but I'm hard. Like, I'm happy. Not hard. I'm happy. Whoa. Beggsy, take it away.
All right. Well, Kyle is now done with his talk. We'll continue on with the Canucks weekly power rankings here. Number 4 on the list is a guy who honestly is probably smashed above expectations so far, and that's JT Miller. JT Miller centering your second line. I think he has taken that talk about not being as good at center and being better on the wing, and he's people have said it. He's taken that and shoved it up their rear ends. This guy has looked the part of a 2-way second line shutdown center so far, and one that could produce offense.
Say that again. Yo, say that again. Say that again. Just say it again. Say it out loud. Say it with
those pundits who have said that JT Miller is better on the wing than at center. JT Miller's taken that statement and he shoved it up their rear ends. Okay. Again, family program here, but that's why I use the term rear ends. Okay.
Okay.
That should be all right. Again, JT Miller so far, he's looked great on a line with Phil Giuseppe and Brock Besser. It's all just click so far for these guys. They're playing big minutes. Miller's averaging over 20 minutes per game. He's looked good on the penalty kill. He's winning faceoffs. He's doing his thing, shutting down the opposition. I mean, there's a lot to like with what JT Miller's offered so far. And again, for playing those big minutes and facing the other team's best players, the guy's been on the ice for 4 goals for and 2 goals a game so far. So I've really been impressed with what I've seen from JT Miller so far.
I thought this guy wasn't a leader, but here he is with the responsibility of, making sure a guy like Phil Giuseppe is playing good. Like, obviously, a lot of the celebration around PDG, should be credited towards him. But again, just having Miller with him and not complaining about it, and just you get what I'm saying, bro? That's a huge responsibility, and he's doing it off well. That second line has been the best line for this team, 5-on-5. Actually, the only consistent part, 5-on-5, outside of Hronek and Hughes. It's just the truth. And JT Miller is just a big part of it, showing a lot of leadership, showing a lot of intensity. I actually feel proud of JT Miller. And that's mainly because I've been a big JT Miller fan for a while. I've been, what's the term? Pumping his tires. Look, this guy turned 30 years old. I turned 30 years old. I got a soft spot. A lot of soft things happening in my life when you turn 30, if you know what I'm saying, right? I'm scared of a couple of things. Anyways, I'm not scared of JT Miller continuing this, again, level of intensity and this pace, even with the points. I think he's going to show a lot of us here that he has gotten better defensively, whether that be because of, the reading, hitting the textbook, just listening to the coach. Maybe the relationship with Tocchet is really well, or just because, he's just, again, I think his intensity in another way has me looking at him as a guy that's going to will this team into the playoffs. So you have like individual players here who just want to win, man. And now they got to get it together as a team, and it's a lot easier when you have your top-end guys doing whatever it takes. And if you look at the way JT Miller has been playing, he's not perfect. By no means is he not perfect, but the level of effort has definitely elevated and has stayed consistent through the 5 games. If you look at the game against Philadelphia, who was our only good player? It was probably JT Miller. So
yeah,
even through the down stretches, I feel as if he's just doing the most, making sure that he's not taking any shifts off. And again, using the term again, he's going to will this team into something in a position to, again, strike to get a playoff spot. And it's exciting.
Yeah, I find it interesting that you have a soft spot for JT Miller. I mean, you were hard like 8 minutes ago, man. I'm just wondering what happened in there. But
no, it wasn't hard. I was happy, bro. Just like, dude, again,
when
you're 30 years old,
my
when you're
bad.
30 years old, you think about the soft and the hard things in your life, just more and more. It's on the mind because, somewhere down the road, something may happen, right? Rhymes with erectile misfunction.
Something like that. I don't think there's any correctile misfunction going on with number 5 on our list, and that is Brock Besser. Brock Besser at number 5 on the Canucks weekly power rankings. So again, it's Demko, Hughes, PD, Miller, Besser, all of the stars. And I think it's nice to see Besser included in that star conversation because for the last couple of years, Brock Besser wasn't so much of a star as he was another guy in the lineup. But so far, he's got 6 goals, 7 points in 5 games. By the way, Austin Matthews has 6 goals and 6 points in 5 games. Just thought I'd throw that out there. So, Besser over Matthews? Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Okay. I'm kidding. Hopefully you guys realize that, but who knows? No, West Coast bias. Besser's better than Matthews. Again, I've said this before. I kind of crapped all over that Miller-Besser pairing in the offseason, and they've proved me wrong so far, which is what I like to see, okay? Because when I'm talking smack with the Canucks, when I'm talking about things I don't like, what I want to happen is I want to be proven wrong. So Miller and Besser, don't be complacent. Continue to prove Beggsy wrong.
Yeah, man, just prove us wrong. We were both like optimistic about PDG, but we were also skeptic as well because we're like, are we supposed to make the playoffs this year? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? And he's proven us wrong, and that duo of Miller and Besser have proven us wrong too. And I don't even think, again, like I think their effort level and their positioning has been, again, the best out of any team 5-on-5, and they're really that going on the forecheck, retrieve pucks, put a puck in the slot type of line. I don't think we're seeing a ton of offensive chemistry with them, but they're kind of good at just doing that. And with that being said, Besser, we talk about his level of effort. I feel as if it's gone up as well. Like he's gotten better defensively. Not perfect, but the effort, like I'm just seeing it. I don't know if you are too. And I think Tocchet's seeing it too because I feel as if he played at the end of the game in Florida. Like he was on the ice. He was one of the guys on the ice.
Yeah, he scored the empty
There you go.
goal,
Yeah,
right?
what am I talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, and again, that duo, Miller and Besser and PDG as well. I know that line, in terms of their metrics, weren't great defensively last season. And I don't want to say they were porous, but they were not outscoring their problems. And that was an issue for the Canucks. Even though they were winning games, that line was not really doing their thing. But they've been doing it so far. You know who else has been doing it, Kyle? The Abbotsford Canucks. To an extent, okay? To an extent.
I want to ask you one more question. Before we move to Abby. Sorry to cut you
right.
off. Like just more about JT, okay? You're the nerd here. Like, are you surprised? Are you surprised at how he's taken what he's done at the end of the season with Tocchet last year? And, metrically speaking, all the fancy stats were like, yo, this guy's actually playing good at both ends of the rink, blah, blah, blah. Are you surprised that, like, we're still seeing that guy early on, if not a leveled up version of that guy? Because it wasn't that long ago where defense and JT Miller, it wasn't a sexy matchup. It wasn't a sexy collaboration.
Yeah, I'll say I'm slightly surprised. I think when I looked at this Canucks, their center depth on paper, I personally might have had Miller as the line to take on the least amount of defensive matchups. Like give Pettersson that role, give Suter and Bluger or Lafferty like those excess minutes and have Miller's line be the one to be unleashed offensively. And that's been the opposite of what the Canucks have done. It's worked so far. I'm not surprised in the sense that, this season matters so much. The start matters so much for the Canucks. And, JT Miller being a pretty intense guy, I think probably took that to heart a bit. So we'll see. It is 5 games in. I hope the Canucks and JT Miller keep it up. Slightly surprised so far, but hey, let's keep the gravy train rolling, baby. And with those Abbotsford Canucks, so they've been doing some good things so far. They did lose the last couple of games, but we're going to touch on more about those Abbotsford Canucks and some of the stand-up performances on the other side. Before I do that, I got to let you know, you got to snap into NFL action this season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place just a $5 bet, baby. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. Now, this is usually where I'd ask Kyle about his Green Bay Packers, what bets he likes for the week, but I think he's fading Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Is that right, Kyle?
No, I got nothing but love for the Green Bay Packers. I believe more than anyone, but I lost to the Broncos, man, and the Raiders in a span of 3 weeks. Yo, thank the universe, thank the Lord, thank Krishna, thank Shiva. Not to get spiritual here, but thank the Lord that the Vancouver Canucks are 3-2. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, and now the Green Bay Packers, I believe they face, though, the Minnesota Vikings, who just be the San Francisco 49ers, man. Wah, wah, wah. It's rough sledding for the Green Bay Packers. So if you want to, keep poo-pooing on Kyle and bet against the Green Bay Packers, you can do so on FanDuel. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, overs, unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL.
People, before we get back to the show, baby, I gotta tell you that new episodes of Locked On Canucks will be available wherever you stream podcasts and on YouTube at 4:20 p.m. for no reason at all, okay? New episodes every day at 4:20 p.m. Again, wherever you stream podcasts and on YouTube. Let's get back to the show. Okay. You are back on another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name's Kyle Bhawan, that's Trevor Beggs. More importantly, this is the show where we give you your Canucks, not your team, your Canucks, every day. Man, oh man, a lot of things to do at the end of this show, but we're gonna wrap it up in 5 minutes. I like it quick, baby. But first, before we get into the meat and the potatoes, right? The meat and the potatoes, or the tomatoes and the potatoes, as Trevor Beggs would love it. I gotta ask Trevor Beggs a question, okay? An important one, and I hope you ask somebody this question too. How you doing?
I'm doing good because I did not get a burger with extra tomatoes yesterday. Thank you very much.
Damn, you're sensitive to that, man. Relax, man. It's a joke. It's a joke, dude. It's a joke, bro.
I don't joke about burger toppings, okay?
Come on, man. Anyways, let's get to Comment Corner, our favorite part of the show, over here on Locked On Canucks.
Welcome to Comment Corner, powered by Paraphrasing.
This comment comes from Ricky.
On and off the ice, Quinn Hughes is the leader the team needs. In fact, I'd rather have him lead my children rather than me, myself, and I.
Okay, Quinn Hughes. On and off the ice. Apparently, allegedly, this is just a commentator, but saying he's doing his thing. He's raising that standard. Being that guy. We talked about Philadelphia, right? Well, we questioned, what happened in Philadelphia? Did these guys go to a baseball game and just get tossed? Get messed up? Do you think Quinn Hughes parties? Not that it's important. I just want to know, I feel like he has that in him. I think he's a DJ. I think he's a DJ on the low. I think he's the guy who plays the music in the room. You just don't know.
I don't think so.
You know Kawhi Leonard? Kawhi Leonard? Quinn Hughes, Kawhi Leonard.
That's an interesting comparison, man. I just from watching his stuff in terms of being at his house in Michigan, he just seems like a laid back guy, likes to play some pool, just like to spend some time on the lake. Honestly seems like, pretty laid back guy away from the rink, which kind of suits his ice in his veins personality. Don't seem as the most intense guy in the world, even though he's obviously got that fire burning inside him to be as good as he is. I do wonder if Quinn Hughes maybe rubbed off on Vasily Podkolzin because Podkolzin so far, despite having a pretty horrid training camp, he had a chance in the top 6 at the beginning of training camp. Now he's in the AHL. He's had a pretty good start to the AHL season. He's got 4 goals and 5 points in 4 games, including 2 howitzers, 2 one-timer goals that he scored in the weekend series against the Calgary Wranglers. By the way, that's some crazy stuff in Abbotsford on Saturday night specifically. They lost 3-2 to the Calgary Wranglers on Friday, who that was their nemesis from the playoffs last year. And then they lost 7-6 in overtime to the Wranglers on Saturday. But the Abbey Canucks were down 6-3 with less than 5 minutes to go and ended up tying that game. Pretty unreal stuff. And I got to show another guy. Nils Aman has the same stat line as Vasily Podkolzin. He has 4 goals and 5 points in 4 games, including a hat trick on Saturday night against the Calgary Wranglers. Last but not least, in terms of the farm report, got to shout out Arshdeep Bains, okay? He leads the Canucks, the baby Canucks, in point. Also leads them in penalty minutes with 12. Guys getting involved. But Arshdeep Bains had 4.
From Surrey.
Surrey right there.
Yo, we get down in Surrey, right, okay? We get down and up. We get down and up.
Yeah, do the bend and snap.
What?
Arshdeep, you never heard the bend and snap? Anyways, I'm not going to demonstrate.
Yeah.
Arshdeep Bains, he started with 4 points on opening night and has added 3 over the last 3 games. Just what you want to see. Like, Arshdeep Bains was kind of a middle of the lineup player last season and worked his way up into a penalty killing role, into a power play role. Now Arshdeep Bains is one of the guys on the ice at 6-on-5 for the Abbotsford Canucks. I mean, he's right up there with Aman and Podkolzin, guys who spent significant amount of time in the NHL last season in terms of guys in Abbotsford who are leading the charge. I mean, actually, if you look at the 4 forwards who are on the ice for 6-on-5 for Abbotsford, when I was checking it out, it was Bains, Dries, Aman, and Podkolzin. 3 of those 4 guys spent, again, a significant amount of time in the NHL last year. Arshdeep Bains was not one of those guys. So to see him being counted on in Abbotsford in that role, it's impressive stuff. And this guy, I'm telling you, Kyle, you said it was going to happen last season. You were wrong. It's going to happen this season. Arshdeep Bains is going to play some NHL games.
Dude, for real, man. And it's going to be jam-packed at Scott Road Station. And then maybe on Scott Road in general after the game. We get down in Surrey, man. Nobody in the Lower Mainland is as loyal as the people, not just to the Canucks. I'm talking about in general, the people. Like the people in Surrey, for real. It's just the truth, man. Kyle Bound, Trevor Beggs, we're here every day no matter what. This guy's had kids. This guy's had lunches. This guy's had meetings he skipped. Same with me, but we're here every day. Why? Because we're from Surrey. And Arshdeep Bains, man, another indication that he's from Surrey is the size of this guy's brain. I feel as if when he adapts and understands things, he can then be precise and be a little cerebral with the way he plays hockey. I mean, look at what he did as an overager in the dub. Led the league in points. And now he's a year and change deep into his AHL career. And maybe he just feels like, yeah, I got a lot to learn, but I have a grip of things. And I think for me to take it to the next level, I got to be more fluid. I got to tap into my intuition. I got to have fun. Playing offense is all of that. So I'm not that surprised. This being said, I am surprised in the Vasily Podkolzin thing, not just because, I think he's a good player, but man, oh man, if anyone was, and this is why we're just talkers, if anyone were to have a narrative being built that would lead them to be somewhat of a quote unquote emotional wreck and kind of have that slow them down this season, it'd be Podkolzin, because we're talking about year 5, blah, 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 didn't make the team, didn't look good, and now he's looking good in the AHL. So kudos to him. And Beggsy said it earlier, anyone here on the West Coast, the best coast of Canada, if you're doing it for the city, and we're doubting you, please prove us wrong. Prove us wrong, and then prove us wrong again, and then stick it up our rear end. Wow. Damn, that would hurt.
Wow, lots of hard, soft, and the rear end talk on this episode.
Dude, I don't even know. I've heard that quote. I've never used that. I've heard that on so many episodes of so many shows. I'll stick it up your rear end. It's like, whoa, chill out. Why don't you just dude, just punch me in the face. Why do you got to stick it up in my rear end? Anyways, Locked On Canucks, your team every day. I mean, your Canucks every day. Beggsy Bhawan, shout out to Surrey. The future lives there. Shout out to you for listening to this. We're sending you a lot of peace. And remember, man, don't lie to yourself, okay? Never lie to yourself. If you did enjoy today's episode, hit the like button, subscribe. If you didn't, don't do that. And also, ask your friends how you doing. Trevor Beggs, sign us out.
All right. Shout out to the Abbey Canucks, especially Arshdeep Bains. Shout out to the Canucks on our top 5 or the first edition of the weekly Power Rankings. But mostly, shout out to you for tuning into this episode of Locked On Canucks. Coming up later this week, we're going to recap the Canucks Predators game and look back at the road trip. Look back at it fondly, we hope, depending on what happens against the Preds tonight.
We're going 4-2, baby. We're going 4-2. Let the people know we're going 4-2. Let them do the outro again, okay? We're going 4-2.
Yeah, we'll be touching base with you after the Canucks go 4-2. Going to preview the homestand coming up. I'm actually going to be in the booth for my first game against the Blues. Let's go.
Oh, relax, man.
Also,
you don't gotta brag. You don't gotta brag, bro. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's a fun.
Be humble, man.
No, you know what? It's you can shove it up your rear head too, bro. But we gotta get out of here, okay? I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Cal Bhawan, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.